Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni hit court this week, and honestly, you couldn't script the drama better if you tried. The internet instantly locking in on every single move that they're making. Meanwhile, the Nancy Guthrie search takes a shocking turn as a white forensic tent has been erected outside Nancy Guthrie's home in the very place that a chilling figure wearing a ski mask and thick gloves was seen approaching her home. Joining us to help break it down, host of the No Filter podcast, Zack Peter. Great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Justin.
All right, so let's gossip, shall we?
Let's.
All right, a grim-faced Blake Lively abruptly walked out of her settlement hearing with Justin Baldoni after 6 grueling hours of negotiations. What are you hearing happened in those 6 hours?
Not a whole lot. So, I mean, I've heard some of the terms that each of them were coming to the table with, which to me, I did not expect either of them to walk out of there with the settlement. It kind of just felt like they were, I mean, this is standard. They have to have these negotiations before they can officially move forward to trial and show the judge that they're trying to find some sort of settlement in good faith. But it just seemed like what she was putting on the table and what he was putting on the table, there wasn't really a willingness to meet in the middle. They were just doing this as a formality. And she was at one end of the hall, he was at another end of the hall. Judge is running back and forth to try and, mediate between the two of them. But after 6 grueling hours, it does not appear they, shocker, came to any sort of conclusion.
Wait, help catch me up. Have they been in the same room together since this all began?
They, I believe, were in the deposition room together. So he showed up. He and the Wayfair parties were there for her deposition, which was a few months ago. So outside of that, that was the first time that they had been face-to-face since the set of It Ends With Us, or some of the post-production editing of It Ends With Us. But even at the premiere of It Ends With Us, they weren't allowed to be together at all.
He was in the basement.
He was in the basement. Yeah.
So the court of public opinion appears largely to be on the side of Justin Baldoni, but that doesn't necessarily matter inside the courtroom. Do you think that Blake has any argument here in regard that can help her when it comes to the law?
I mean, listen, this isn't a decision that's going to be made if it goes to trial, right? So right now what we have is there's a motion for summary judgment filed by the Wayfair party. So the judge can allow some or all of her claims to move to trial, but he hasn't made a decision on that yet. So we'll find out if any or all of her claims will move forward to trial. So it's possible that he guts her case altogether and she has to accept, defeat, which honestly, I think from a PR standpoint is her best case scenario, because then she can say the judge threw out my case, the patriarchy won, the court system's against women. I'm going to continue my fight. I'm going to appeal. And then she doesn't have to appeal. She can just let it fizzle out, but say that she's still fighting without admitting that she was wrong. Should it move forward to trial, then it gets put in the hands of the jury, and that's us. That's the people. We then will see everything, and we've seen everything so far. We've seen the text messages, the emails, the raw footage, and from what we've seen, if I were sitting on that jury, I would not be convinced that she was harassed or that there was a retaliation campaign against her.
Let's talk about the fact that Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, did not show up to court with her on such a big day, too. Baldoni's wife came with him in support. Do you think there's any significance to this?
Oh, 1,000%. I think this is the clearest sign that they're likely headed for divorce.
Oh,
Ryan Reynolds not showing
up. The D word.
Yes, think about it. Ryan Reynolds, her husband, this champion for his wife, right? We saw when all of their text messages were blasted all over the media, when we were all going through Ryan's crazy texts, we saw him issue a statement and say, I should have gone harder to protect my wife. I should have been there fighting for my wife. This was your chance, Ryan Reynolds, to show up for your wife. She's now having to face the men that she's claiming harassed her and launched this campaign against her. And you're letting your wife go into that courtroom alone. I thought it was very telling that none of her friends were there. Her sister wasn't there. Her brother wasn't there. Her husband wasn't there. She showed up alone, which is probably how she's feeling right now, is isolated and just with her back up against the wall.
Well, I mean, I feel like Ryan Reynolds' career has definitely taken a hit with this. His reputation is on the line along with this. When it comes to Justin and Blake, do you think that they're both going to have long-term reputation damages here? Like, even though the public support, people on social media, are a lot of them are on Baldoni's side, is Hollywood going to want to work with him?
No, I think Hollywood would likely be done with both of them. I think Blake, her reputation is only saved if Ryan doesn't divorce her and doesn't ditch her, right? And because he still has some power in Hollywood to a degree. I think the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Sony executive emails and text messages, all of that coming out is embarrassing. The Taylor Swift text messages, all of that makes Blake and Ryan look really bad to Hollywood, right? Because now they're like, whoa, these people are litigious. It's possible if we communicate with them, our communications could get leaked into the public. But I mean, it's really going to depend. Is Marvel going to stand by him? I think if Marvel stands by Ryan Reynolds, he will have a career that will continue on. And I think the Marvel fan base doesn't care about this. It ends with this drama. They'll continue to show up and watch Deadpool. And if he continues to take Blake with him, there's a chance that if she weathers the storm and lays low for a couple of years, she may be, the past may just have gotten glossed over. Whereas Justin Baldoni, I don't think has a chance in Hollywood. I think Hollywood wants nothing to do with him. We've seen how WME ostracized him. Sony, I think, is really hating that they're getting dragged into all of this. I mean, Sony executive emails and text messages were released to the public. That's crazy. So I think they're both going to have a hard time in Hollywood. But what Justin does have is the public. And I think with new media coming forward, there is a chance that he could have a career, but it's not going to be in traditional Hollywood.
Yeah, maybe with a podcast. I think people would want to listen.
Yeah.
I think he did have a podcast, right? But I think that there are ways for him to be out there, but just, you're right, maybe not by a Sony-backed movie.
I mean, people will still show up for him to watch his movies, right? Because they want to support him. Now, will a streamer like Netflix or Hulu or Peacock, will they take one of his movies? I don't know. That's what we'll have to see. But he at least has the public support behind him.
Okay, I want to get your take on this. It might be a hot take because I want to share mine with you and get your idea on it. Why do you think Blake Lively got into this situation? How did she get into this mess?
So we had negotiations on day one at the courthouse with Justin and Blake, but negotiations day two, which was Thursday, Blake was not there, but Justin showed up again, and he's now trying to work things out with Stephanie Jones of Jones Work PR. That's his former publicist. So she's the reason Blake Lively had access to all of those text messages that we saw in the New York Times. Stephanie Jones, his former publicist, turned that over. He's now suing her for breach of contract and violating their confidentiality agreement. But I think, with with this Stephanie Jones piece, I think she's the one that really convinced Blake Lively that there was this retaliation smear campaign against her. And Blake Lively, being an entitled actress in Hollywood, her ego couldn't.
I thought you were going to use another A word there.
No, her ego couldn't take the hit that the public just organically didn't like her. So I think she was like, I have to lean into this smear campaign theory because this is the only way to save my reputation.
I think so. Here's my take. I'm going to rewind it a little bit further. I think Blake Lively has no self-awareness, and I think that she, being the wife of Ryan Reynolds and the best friend of Taylor Swift, really hurt her because I think she saw Ryan Reynolds be able to get a role in Deadpool and take that into writing the sequel. And I think she thought that she was of that caliber. And then to be able to do that with It Ends With Us. And then I also think that being friends with Taylor Swift, someone who is really driving her own career and calling all the shots, I think she thought, I should be doing this too. And I think she just overplayed her hand. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But she definitely overplayed her hand. She thought that she was as important as Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. And I think the public, let her know really quickly, no, Blake, you're not. Allegedly.
Yeah, I think she thought she was untouchable. And I think she thought that by putting this New York Times article out there, that this would just completely obliterate this meek guy, Justin Baldoni, who from what we've heard on the set, he was buckling to all of her demands. He was giving her everything she wants. So I don't think she thought that it was unreasonable for her to be able to bury him with this New York Times article and not even have to pursue the lawsuit. I don't think she ever envisioned it getting this far to where they're potentially going to have to present this in front of a jury.
Do you think that now, the last question about Blake Lively, and then I have one other topic I want to get to. Do you think now that Blake Lively has a little more self-awareness?
No. I think if anything, she's continuing to dig herself into a hole of delusion. I think her ego cannot accept that the internet and the general public just don't like her. I think she has a lot of yes people around her. I think her
Yes.
publicist, I mean, they're fighting to keep these positive headlines about her in the mainstream press, like Us Weekly and TMZ. Like they're still favorably covering Blake Lively. And I think that's a lot, at the hands of her publicist, Leslie Sloan. And I don't think that she has any sort of self-awareness because she's never had to.
Well, I think that goes for all high-profile people or many high-profile people. I mean, you see her text messages, you see Taylor Swift's text messages, and even, maybe on a slightly unrelated note, you see the Epstein files, these high-profile people, they really think that they're untouchable and that no one will ever see their emails, their text messages. And I think that if people, were to see what some of our favorite or most powerful celebrities or lawmakers or business executives were texting and emailing, like their career would be over. I mean, everyone has some skeletons in their closet. And it just goes to, that saying, like, you're not ugly, you're just poor. I think that kind of applies with, you're not likable, you just have a good PR team.
Yeah. And Blake Lively, I think, has gotten away with it for so many years, and now, she just overshot the mark.
Okay. Last question about Blake. Do you think that if you had to, like, gun to your head, because I know you probably wouldn't want to, but if you had to come up with a PR spin for her to try to save her career, what would that be?
Oh, I have. Listen, I've been giving her PR advice from the beginning. She just doesn't listen to me. Say you were going through postpartum depression. She had just had a baby. Say that your head wasn't in the right space. You were dealing with a lot. You had a newborn baby. You had 4 kids. Or blame Ryan. Be like, if he's going to turn on her, be like, he got jealous. He thought that there was something going on. And I told him that there wasn't, or, he's the one that spearheaded all of this. Because it's totally, now that we've seen all the text messages and information, it's totally reasonable to believe that he was a jealous husband and was pushing for all of this. Now, the fact that he's not showing up with her in court is starting to debunk that theory, because now he's kind of hanging her out to dry. But I mean, blame it on the baby, blame it on the baby blues. Say you had postpartum depression, you weren't in your right headspace, and then you were having marital issues. Your husband was getting jealous because he thought that there was something going on with Justin Baldoni when there absolutely wasn't. You were just trying to appease him. So you were like, no, it's not me. He's sending me creepy text messages. Like all reasonable. But I think the fact that she has not backed out of this, again, the only thing not that I would even like this strategy, because I would see right through it, but the only
I feel
thing
like
that
she could have used this strategy maybe like
early on,
last year. But I think it's too late. That is a good strategy, though. That's the best one you can come up with.
The only thing she can do, the only thing she can do now is hope that the judge guts her case and then blames the legal system for being against women and say, I'm going to continue this fight. I'm going to appeal. This isn't over. I'm going to continue to fight for women in the workplace. And that's the only possible positive outcome I could see for her.
Well, you know what? I did watch her in A Simple Favor too, or Another Simple Favor, whatever they called it. And I like seeing her in crazy roles, so I will support that. So, Blake.
But Justin, the thing is, if she had just not done any of the New York Times article or any of this, litigation, if she had just let the public forget about It Ends With Us and move on to Another Simple Favor, I think she would have won the public back over again, because they would have just been like, oh, she's kind of funny, like she's a little zany, like whatever. Like I don't think it would have hurt her reputation, but this lawsuit certainly did.
Yeah, well, Blake, if you're watching, which she might be, because she likes to sue people who talk about her on the internet. So she's scrolling through. She's on page 500 of her Google search. Blake, take this advice. Take Zach's advice. All right, let's talk about another topic that's just owning culture right now, which is the Nancy Guthrie case. It doesn't make a lot of sense. What do you think is the craziest detail that's come out so far?
The fact that she's still missing. Like, how did we lose a grown elderly woman in 2026? Everything is tracked. Everything has GPS. There's surveillance everywhere. I can't even go to Whole Foods without being tracked. And you're going to tell me we lost a whole lady? We don't know where she's at. We have no footage of her that night at all.
Do you think we're going to solve this?
I did a few days ago, and every day that continues to go on, I'm like, where is Nancy Guthrie? That's the question on everybody's mind. Where is Nancy Guthrie, and who took her? Like, where did she go? Did the aliens abduct her? At this point, that may be the most logical theory that I can come to because she's like virtually disappeared.
Well, look, anybody at home, if you want to keep up with what's going on with Blake and Justin or with Nancy Guthrie or anything in culture, listen to the No Filter with Zack Peter podcast. Find him on Instagram, on TikTok. He's all over. He's putting out, you're dropping videos like all the time with some great information, great scoop. It was a good time having a conversation with you today. Hope we get to have one again soon.